Hey y'all, it's Brandon with Voodoo Forge, and I want to talk to y'all today about some of the liquids that I use in the shop and how I use them, what I use them for, and what I use. First one I want to talk about is the one I probably use more than anything, which is cutting oil. And this is what I use, rigid dark thread cutting oil. It's about 20 bucks a gallon, give or take. And apparently the containers are very fragile because I actually busted it when I got it out for this. But it's just a dark thread cutting oil, and I put it in an oil can like this. I use it when I'm cutting threads, I use it when I'm drilling, I use it when I'm using a bandsaw, anything like that. I put a squirt of this oil on it. Anytime I'm running the bandsaw, I make sure that I put a squirt of cutting oil on the cut. Now if I'm cutting large material, I might have to do this more than once. Now one of the main things I use cutting oil for is when I am drilling holes. It helps lubricate the bit, helps it cut a little easier. I have noticed since I started using cutting oil several years ago that bits last a lot longer. Alright, the next thing is just regular motor oil in different weights. No matter what you are using, if you've got any kind of internal combustion engine, you're going to need oil. So generators, gas-powered welders, your compressors, things like that are all going to need motor oil of some kind. And I keep some of this in a little oil can to use to lubricate things around the shop as well. Alright, boiled linseed oil. You don't have to get as big a can of this, but I go through a lot of this. This goes on all my tool handles, whether they are hammers that stay in the shop, shovels, sledgehammers, rakes, anything with a wooden handle. I treat it with boiled linseed oil, and it protects the wood and it makes the handle last longer and keeps it strong, keeps it as close to a living wood as you can get it. What are you doing, Etta?
I'm treating my handle on my hatchet with boiled linseed oil.
Oh, what are you going to do with the rag when you're done?
I'm going to lay it out because if you just leave it in a pile, then it could catch on fire.
So you lay it out flat so it'll dry?
Yes.
How often do you use boiled linseed oil on a tool handle?
Once a week for a week.
Once a week for a week, or once a day for a week?
Once a day for a week. And then once a week for 2 months, and then once a month for a year, and then once a year for
okay. Very good.
Till the end.
Acetone, mineral spirits, paint thinner, things like that. These are for cleaning. The acetone really comes in when I've got to have a really clean, solid weld on something. Don't need it all the time, but if I've hit it with a grinder but I need a really good weld, I'll go ahead and wipe everything down with acetone before I do the weld, and it gets everything super clean. Mineral spirits and paint thinner, the main thing I use those for is wiping everything that I'm going to paint or put some kind of finish down with a lint-free cloth before I paint it. That way the paint sticks good and you get a good finish. This is important when you're making stuff to sell, for sure, that you get the paint to stick. This is air tool oil, and I don't go through a lot of this, but I use it anytime I use air tools. I don't use air tools a lot, but they're all in real good shape because I always put a drop of this on the in them where the air goes in. I put a drop every time I use it. I don't know exactly what it's called, but a drop of air tool oil every time. Okay, right there, that is where you put your drop of oil before and after you use your air tool. Brake cleaner. I use this stuff on gross stuff and just blast it off. If you look around, you can catch it on sale, about 2 or 3 cans at a time, and it's just handy stuff to have around to clean parts when you're in the middle of something, because things never break at a good time. So if something breaks, you need to work on it. This stuff is, I cannot explain to you how valuable this is in those times. Distilled white vinegar. It's cheap and you can use it for lots of things. Cleaning galvanized off of stuff so you can weld it, or or forge it. You can use it to make things, to clean rust off. You can use it to soak stuff in, then take it out and let it rust. It has a lot of uses in the shop, so it doesn't hurt to keep a gallon of it around. The number one thing that vinegar gets used for in the shop is removing the galvanized or zinc coating from things before I weld on them or forge on them. I can leave that in overnight and that'll take all the zinc coating off, so it'll be safe to throw in the forge. Also, you can use it to remove rust from things. I've used it on hammerheads and things like that, hammerheads, axe heads, things like that. Okay, this is overnight and it rained and diluted our vinegar a little bit, but it removed every bit of the galvanizing. Now you take this and sit it out for a minute. This thing will practically flash rust. It'll be rusty in no time, but that's okay because we're going to throw it in the forge and square the heads. That's the whole point of doing that. But another use of vinegar is if you need to get something to rust, which is a thing that happens. Vinegar is very good for that. Soak something with vinegar, pull it out, and she'll rust real quick. Degreasers and cleaners is just, you know, handy to have around. Also, when you have to work on something, like if I have to work on the power hammer, it's covered with grease, you got to hit it with something before you can really get in there, and these will make that a lot easier. And it's always better to just have them on hand than have to stop work and go get them. All right, WD-40. There's lots of stuff you can do with WD-40. Yeah, don't do that. I'm just kidding. But WD-40, you can get it in the little aerosol cans or the gallon. I'm a big fan of getting it by the gallon, putting it in a spray bottle. I use this on all kinds of things. Tools that I don't want to rust, things that I need to move, but some kind of penetrating oil. It doesn't have to be WD-40. It can be PB Blaster. It should be one of those two. There's another one. Oh, it's totally slipped my mind. But you need some kind of penetrating oil, and it's whatever you like. And they do jobs a little differently, so I've got PB Blaster too. All right, y'all. Well, that's it. You know, I know this isn't a really wild, intriguing thing here, but I mean, these are some things that I keep on hand all the time. I buy them in the large containers, and I recommend that you do too, because nobody's ever been like, man, I wish I had less WD-40. So just get big containers of stuff, keep it on hand, then you have it when you need it, and you're not running back and forth to the parts store or the hardware store or wherever you get your stuff. So anyway, if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments below. And if you like the video, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more like this, please subscribe to the channel. All right, y'all behave yourselves.
Hey, our homesteading channel is here. And some cool videos you should check out are here. I don't know.